My entire family history is in these documents. Why does the hospital have all this? Why were they interested in us? It says here in the documents that in 1986, Steve and Jen, my parents, were married. Soon after, they moved into a small town away from the city's pollution called Bright Woods, hoping for a peaceful life for their soon-to-be children. My father used to work as a surgeon in the city, but now had to work at the local hospital for a much lower pay. My mother tried to get a job to help support his new salary, but was unable to. In 1989, my sister, Anita, was born. Anita goes to the city school and is bullied aggressively, frequently coming home in tears. My parents can't afford to send her anywhere else, bullying or not. In 1997, my mother is pregnant again with another daughter. Shortly after giving birth to Claire, Anita suffers a fatal fall on a school trip. It was no accident. But with little evidence other than a broken kid's wagon that she was tripped with, that every child on that trip had played on, there was no one to pin the blame onto. I think I know who did it to her, though. And that's been taken care of. Anita was rushed to Brightwoods Hospital, where Steve was one of the few surgeons available to work on her. While it was against hospital policy to allow staff to work on their family members, they had no choice. Anita dies in the hospital, under the care of our father, driving my father into a deep depression which eventually cost him his job at the hospital. In late 1998, my father finally completely breaks down, believing that his family has no future anymore. He decides to take out the rest of the family with him in a crazed suicidal state, successfully murdering Claire with a kitchen knife. He fails to kill my mother, who then calls the cops. Early 1999, Steve is admitted to Suzanne Cross Hospital, where he spends the rest of his life under review by Dr. Hammond Heath, who believes Steve's troubles are hereditary and that a lobotomy may be able to save his troubled mind. After the lobotomy, Steve suffers multiple seizures and lives out the rest of his life in a cell in a zombie-like state. Jen, my mother, finds out she is pregnant this same year. This time it's a baby boy, Steve's baby boy. Me. My mother worries about my future, knowing I will have no father to raise me, as well as fearing what I could become. Unable to afford the home she's living in anymore, she moves to an apartment in the same town. During the regular screenings and health checkups for the birth of myself, my mother finds out she has first-stage spinal cancer. I was born late 1999. My mother gives me the name Gray, knowing both her fate and mine to come. After 10 years of suffering and chemotherapy, as well as hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, my mother dies, leaving the house to the bank and me to live the rest of my childhood in an orphanage. In 2019, I left the orphanage for the last time, becoming a car mechanic with low pay, but just enough to move into the ghetto part of the city. After about a year of work, I started to hate my job, my boss, those around me, and me. I started making simple mistakes, being lazy. Early May, I made a mistake while moving some heavy equipment, permanently crippling a coworker. I crippled him and hid my mistake from the others. I can't take working here anymore. Ever since this incident, everything just feels wrong. Everything has gone insane. After a fucked up decision and an argument with my boss, I grabbed a knife from the tools and stabbed him. I killed him. I went to the bar to wash the blood off my hands. to get rid of it. Months down the line, and I'm now free to roam outside for hours at a day. They let me fix things up with the janitor around the building. I've been getting better, they told me. Things are starting to look up for me. But what I did to her, to them, I can't leave this all behind me. It is something I will bear with me for the rest of my life. I still have a long time left in this hospital, but maybe one day I will have my own place to call home. My own family.